Hi, I'm Lawrence. I was always told to get a degree and a job at a good company, but just 3 years into my safe job, I was retrenched and left broke. That idea no longer works. Instead of one job, we need to be focusing on multiple streams of income. As a full-time property investor and coach, my goal is to educate you and other South Africans to reach financial freedom through property. Let's get started.
I'll read out the question, and then Donna, if you feel like answering it, you can take it. Otherwise, I'll also answer it.
All right.
So the first question here is from Johan. Let me see. Donna, you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So the question from Johan: what is the limitations on sanitary waste or toilets on a 5-bedroom property? So, essentially, how many bathrooms would you need per student? I think that's kind of the question. What are those criteria? Do you know?
As you said earlier, the current regulations, the national regulations of student accommodation, says that you can allow a maximum of 5 people per bathroom. However, if you go through your zoning process, the engineers do come and do a services report and services investigation, and they're able to tell you more or less how many students you will be allowed upon the services that that can be carried.
Yeah. So Johan, just to add to that, I think go look at NASFA's criteria on their website. That'll give you a good indication. Otherwise, speak to a town planner in your municipality. They should be able to give you the criteria. Each municipality will have a slightly different approach. But yeah, go chat to a town planner, and that you should be fine. Okay, let's see here. Johan's also asking, would you advise additional benefits like students with free Wi-Fi, fiber, electricity, and all of that included in the rent? Is that something that you would approve of, Donna?
Yes. What I do is I subsidize a certain amount of electricity, a certain amount of water. I have free Wi-Fi. I also have, believe it or not, armed response and an alarm.
Well, I'm sure that the parents are probably a little bit more excited when they know that their children are safe and might pay a bit of a premium for high security.
Yes, and the other reality is that these are other people's children, and for the time period that they are not with their parents, to a certain degree, I'm responsible for them. I can't not look after them.
Fair enough. Okay, so Johan's asking, what is an acceptable room size in square meters for a multi-let? So, let's say you've got a 10-bedroom house and you want to put 15 students in. What's the smallest room that you could probably give them?
According to the National Student Housing regulations, a double room, its minimum size is 14 square meters. And a single room is 6 square meters.
Brilliant. Okay. Jake's asking, what is my book's name? So it's called Financial Freedom Through Property.
That's a good book. I've read it.
Thanks, man. Gapolo, could you just put a link to my book in the chat bar, and then also just put a link to our Property Bootcamp Start Here page. So Jake, if you do want to have, there we go. You can just click the button that's just come up there on the screen if you want to get a copy. Okay, Maureen has just made a very interesting comment here. She said 250 is such a dream for us, but where did you get started? So maybe Donna, you could just talk a little bit about where you started and how you ended up where you are now.
Maureen, believe it or not, I started with one. I remember my very first property. I didn't have a nice net to catch me. I had to do it all myself. I remember going to the sheriff auctions, attending them easily for a year and a half, having a look what's done, and I bought my first townhouse off the sheriff auction for 140,000 Rand, using a credit card for the deposit and the transfer and everything.
Yeah. We all start somewhere, right? We all start at the bottom. Donna always likes to say that he's not very special. He's just a normal, average citizen who's just used the resources available. And the reality is he's shown you 2 deals where he hasn't had to put any of his own money in. with some creative financing. So, very cool story. Okay. Here's not a question, it's more a statement. So, Dikiledi is saying that with Tux, NSFAS pays Tux and Tux pays the landlord. So you don't have to worry about the student, not paying, which is good to know. This is quite a tough question. What is the difference between the Let to Own and the Alienation Land Act?
It's actually a big difference.
Yeah, go for it.
Let to own, you're basically letting the property from the owner. And then you're subletting it to others, where if there's a surplus money, you're keeping it. That surplus you can assign to save or to maybe pay it as a certain down payment on the property. What's also nice with the let to own is that you sign at the time when this agreement is entered into, you sign a sales price and you also fix the date at which the sale is to take place in the future. And then with regards to the Alienation of Land Act, it's better known as a sale by installments. A very easy way, or I like using of explaining this, is have you ever heard of where you buy a car from someone else and you take over bank payments when buying the car? It's very much the same. You literally take over the bank payments with the Alienation of Land Act, and you buy the property over a certain time period, and you only become the full owner of the property once the full contract has run its course.
Yeah. Cool. Makes sense. Question here from, let me see here, Maraka. What is the procedure for one to follow if they want you to be their mentor? Okay, cool. So if you want me to be, I do have a coaching program. You can click that button there on your screen that says click to get all of our resources. There is a tab on that page that will take you to my coaching website. The coaching program is where I sit with you one-on-one and I help you essentially become an investor. I sat with Donna many a time helping him through his journey, and I do that. Obviously, it comes at a price. But yeah, if you're serious about property investing and you want to be, in the game, a coach is always a good idea. Okay, let's see here. Madoda. If my company has been breaking even for the past 3 years, can I expect banks to approve a home loan for my company? So I'll answer this one. Yes, my daughter, that is possible. If your company has 3 years of trading history, usually the banks will use the annual financial statements to be able to loan you money in your company. If your company is not doing very well or doesn't have that track record, you can always give personal surety to the bank, which basically means that if your company defaults and doesn't make a payment, they can come after you as the individual. So it is very possible that even if you've got a company or a trust that hasn't been trading for very long or isn't doing very well, as long as you give personal surety, you should be able to get a loan. Okay, Sanjay, how many students do you accommodate per standard 3/4 bedroom residential house? What conversions do you do, or are the houses you buy to convert much larger in size? Yard size. Okay, so the question is, how many students can you accommodate per 3 or 4 bedroom residential house, and what conversions do you do? Do you just buy a big house and put lots of little rooms in, or do you add to the property?
The big thing that will be guiding person here will be your municipal rules and regulations. At this stage in Bloemfontein, and for every other municipality, it will be different. In a Res 1 house, you're allowed to house a maximum of 10 people. What also guides you is the amount of toilets or bathrooms and kitchens there are. As I said earlier, you're only allowed to have a maximum of 5 people per bathroom and a maximum of 8 people per kitchen. So if you have a look at a standard 3 or 4 bedroom house, and let's say you want to accommodate 10 people and it's still a Res 1, you'll have to have 2 bathrooms and at least 1.5 kitchens too. But if you'd like to accommodate more people, you'll have to apply for rezoning to allow for higher density.
Makes sense. Quickly, because we are running out of time.
All right.
What is the vacancy rate now with COVID? What's your opinion on this whole COVID thing destroying the student accommodation market?
I was very lucky. At the University of the Free State, my vacancy rate was around 20%, but there was a different vacancy I saw at at the Central University of Technology. There it was a bit higher. There it was closer to about 70%. And I can't say why it was. Maybe it's a different kind of student with a different kind of background, but that's how I saw it.
Nice. Okay. So it didn't actually impact you as much as the fear in the media might have presented.
No.
Cool. Anele's got a question about my book. Does the book Financial Freedom go into detail to explain the example that Dana presented? Yes. So Anele, I've got about, I think, 4 or 5 case studies in the book where I go through how I ran the numbers and all the details. So go check that out. Pelissa, how do you start to source these good deals? So what I would say there, Pelissa, just because we're not focusing on sourcing with this specific webinar, go check out my YouTube channel or the My Property App YouTube channel. There is a couple of videos regarding sourcing and how you can use that strategy to build some capital to invest with. So I would just let you, go check that out. Another question for you, Donna. With social distancing being a big concern, how have you prepared your properties? Are your properties fully booked for the year?
All right, there are 2 questions.
Yeah.
A person must realize that my properties are considered the homes of the students while they're at university. And the people that they share the house with are their housemates. We don't, I don't know about any other houses, but I certainly don't have any regulations with regards to my housemates, my family, my children. I don't wear masks. We don't social distance that much in the house. We do, however, follow other stuff like sanitizing your hands, washing your hands. So there are definitely stuff that you can follow. But once you're in your house, you're in your house. So to follow those kinds of things is funny. Where they do, however, have to social distance and stuff is when they're on campus. And as soon as they leave the house, they have to wear their masks. So that's the normal for us all. And then with regards to are my properties booked for this year, believe it or not, by the end of the academic year, last year, I already had around 70% of my places full for 2021 with deposits paid already.
That's power. That is powerful. Awesome. Thanks, Donna.
Are you tired of having more month at the end of your money? It's time to venture into property investing. And although it may seem scary, don't worry. We've created tons of resources to help you get started. From tools that help you analyze deals to online training courses to one-on-one specialized coaching. Click the link in the comments below and get started today.